I actually was gonna put out a different video today, which I've already recorded the audio for, but then I finally had a chance to sit down and watch season 2 of Netflix's The Dragon Prince, and oops, change of plans, you're getting this instead. Which will surprise literally no one if you're even half familiar with me and know of a specific event that went down near the end of the season. Real quick, if you don't know what The Dragon Prince is, please go watch it. It's an animated series on Netflix about a long conflict between humans and magical creatures, and its elf designs are so fucking cool. Also, if you haven't watched it, this video will spoil you on some stuff involving Claudia and Soren up until the very end of the second season, so you have been warned. Now, back on track. What was this event that made me suddenly want to make a video on this series? Soren got a spinal cord injury and became quadriplegic for all of, 2.5 episodes. Now, usually I have very clear-cut feelings on plot points like this. I don't like them, plain and simple. The disabled for a day plot, or pretty much any cure trope ever, are both real iffy territory for me. But here, while I'm not thrilled about this development, I have less of a problem with it than usual. Why? Because of Soren's attitude, and possibly even more because of Claudia's. The series has a really unique take on a character suddenly being disabled and their reaction that I've never seen anywhere before, and it was actually really refreshing, even though it got disappointing at the very end. Soren, when he wakes up and realizes he'll never move again, has a very understandable but very rare reaction. He's totally cool with it. The reason he gives is that his father, Viren, saddled him with this terrible task of killing the princes, which he obviously didn't want to do, and which he literally cannot do now. His direct quote, I believe, is, "Now I can't do anything terrible because I can't do anything." Which is a little but I get where he's coming from. Beyond this, actually, Soren immediately starts thinking about his future, about what he could do now that he can no longer move. He starts considering what he could fill his time with, coming up with ideas, making plans. He's still his old goofy self, and he's handling this really well. He's more than ready to pick himself up and start over. And I've never seen that, and it makes sense for him, and I absolutely love it. It's Claudia who can't accept it, who tears the doctor's office apart to the point that she has to be kicked out, who is desperate for a cure, who kills a fawn to transfer its essence into her brother so he can move again. Soren wasn't given a choice. Claudia barged into his sick room and forced a cure onto him. The disabled person was fine. It was the family who couldn't accept it. This attitude will ring true for so many disabled people out there. People who, as children, were put through surgeries they didn't need because doctors scared their parents into thinking they did. People who have to try again and again, unsuccessfully, to get their family to understand that they're fine, really they are. Again, I'm not happy about the disabled for a day trope being used here, I never am, but at least the creators still managed to write something that hit dead center on the yeah, I know that feel side of things. Granted, Soren also takes it completely in stride, being able to move again, he's happy about it. I really hope that in some future episode they go into how fucked up it actually was that Claudia just did this, that she gave him no choice, that she didn't even talk to him about it, she just did what she thought was right, never mind what he may have wanted. We also don't know yet if Soren will experience any lasting consequences because of this, and it certainly seems like the show isn't viewing Claudia's actions here as a good thing. She sacrificed one of nature's cutest, most innocent creatures to do it. That's not the kind of symbolism you use for something good. The effort also put a white stripe in her hair, which is definitely not the kind of symbolism you use about a good thing, especially if it surrounds dark magic. So, here's hoping that that whole deal gets addressed at some point in the future. All in all, my feelings on this development are complicated. The season ended right after Soren got cured, so we don't know how they'll handle that in the future, so I can't yet say anything on that front, other than that I still will never approve of the disabled for a day trope. But also, they did manage to write a reaction for Claudia that, while I've never had a family member of mine react quite so violently to me and my disabilities, I still relate to on a very personal and visceral level. There are members of my family who I can definitely see making blood sacrifices to dark magic in order to quote-unquote fix me without my consent. And while I'm not in the same boat as Soren was, I did relate to him for a hot second there, which was new, considering how absolutely furious I was with him during the beginning of the season. So yeah, complicated. Editing Van here, I realized while putting all of this together that there's another reason why I have such complicated feelings about this, and that's because the Dragon Prince has already kind of won my trust in their depictions of disabilities. Like General Amaya, she's deaf, but many hearing people will still view her as disabled, so she technically counts in there. And she's great, uses sign language, has an interpreter, and it's fantastic. I love her so much. And then there's the wolf, whose name I can't remember. Hold on, let me look that up. Ah, right, Ava. Ava the wolf, who at first I was really worried about what her presence in the story meant for disabled people, because she was introduced as this wolf who had only 3 legs and then by some miracle got cured. But as it turns out, nope, that the fourth leg is an illusion made by moon magic. So, yay, fantastic! No curing of disabled people yet. Obviously, they got to that, but that was dark magic, which the show is very like dark magic. It's not a good thing. It's sacrificing living things to draw their essence and make magic, and it's horrifying, honestly, because it involves the poaching of magical creatures and other like anything that has a connection to an arcanum or a primal source. Yeah, anyway, so with Ava and Amaya, they already like gain my trust. And then further with Vilas with a silent D, um I his narcolepsy is kind of played for a joke, but he's still like a blind sea captain with narcolepsy, and he is kind of a joke character, but I feel like they did at least a decent job with him, and like let him be a character outside of his disabilities and have comedic relief outside of his disabilities. He's not funny because he's a blind sea captain with narcolepsy. He's funny because he's a blind sea captain with narcolepsy who has the most ridiculous wisdom to dispense, and uh, frankly, scarily intelligent parrot. So with like those 3 characters, they've already like kind of like gained my trust on the disability side of things, so I have complicated feelings about this Soren development, because if he was the um only like disability rep for the 2.5 episodes that he was disabled in the show, I would definitely be a lot more wary of it and how they would handle that in the future, or if they would even mention it at all in the future. But their track record at this point is pretty good. So, um, I feel like I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they will find a way to make this, like, make me okay with that they did this, even though it'll be tough. It'll be tough, but I'm trusting them. Now, they just have to not let me down. That's really all I have to say for now. I'll probably have some more to say on this topic once Season 3 rolls around, because if I don't, that means they'll have gone for a complete cure. Oh, look, he's entirely better now, no lasting consequences whatsoever, which would be unfortunate. And also, I would still have stuff to say about that, actually, so no matter what, they've done this. They've had Soren be disabled for a hot second. That means I'm gonna talk about him. This is how this works. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you stick around. Bye!